James Anderson stared at his computer screen, his coffee long cold. The clock on his office wall showed 11:30 p.m. Outside his window, Chicago's lights sparkled against the dark sky. His fingers moved to the silver photo frame on his desk, their wedding photo. Elizabeth's smile seemed different now. False. Like everything else in their marriage. He picked up his phone and played the video again. The security camera footage from their home showed Elizabeth walking in with Mike, his best friend of 15 years. James had installed the cameras last week after finding their messages. His hands shook as he watched them kiss in his living room. On his couch. In his home. "I'll leave Jennifer soon," Mike promised Elizabeth in the video. "Just need to handle the business accounts first." Elizabeth laughed. "James suspects nothing. He's too busy with his real estate deals." Such a fool. James clicked stop. He couldn't watch anymore. 10 years of marriage. Gone. His wife and best friend, the two people he trusted most. The pain in his chest grew sharper. His phone buzzed. A text from Elizabeth, working late again. "Don't wait up." James smiled for the first time that day. A cold smile. He opened his desk drawer and pulled out a thick file. Inside were printed messages, hotel receipts, photos, and GPS locations. 2 months of evidence. Carefully collected. Perfectly organized. He turned to his computer and typed. "Dear friends and family, you are invited to celebrate our 10th wedding anniversary." His fingers paused over the keyboard. The party would be perfect. The video tribute he planned would shock everyone. Elizabeth loved being the center of attention. He would give her exactly what she wanted. One final time. "Soon," he whispered, touching Elizabeth's smiling face in the photo. "Soon you'll both know how it feels." He picked up his phone and dialed Jennifer's number. Mike's wife deserved to know the truth. And maybe, just maybe, she would want revenge too. The phone rang as James looked at the Chicago skyline. His revenge was just beginning. Jennifer's hands trembled as she looked at the photos James had laid out on the coffee shop table. Her coffee sat untouched, growing cold like her heart. 8 months, James said quietly. "They've been doing this for 8 months. Jennifer touched a photo of Mike and Elizabeth entering the Lake Shore Hotel. The date stamp showed last Tuesday, the day Mike said he had a business meeting in Boston. "I trusted them both," she whispered. "Elizabeth was my best friend. We went shopping together last week. She helped me pick out Mike's birthday gift." Her voice cracked. James reached across the table and squeezed her hand. "I know. Mike was like my brother. I made him partner in my company. Gave him everything he wanted." Jennifer wiped her tears, her sadness turning to anger. "What's your plan?" James pulled out his iPad. "The anniversary party is in 3 weeks. Everyone will be there, our families, friends, business partners. Elizabeth thinks I'm planning a surprise video tribute to our marriage." "And you are," Jennifer said, understanding in her eyes. "Just not the kind she expects." James nodded. "I need your help. Mike keeps some things at your house, his laptop, old phones. Can you check them?" Jennifer's eyes hardened. "I'll do better than that. I have access to all his accounts. Emails, bank statements, everything. He never thought I'd check." "Perfect," James smiled. "I've hired the best divorce lawyer in Chicago. He's ready to file for both of us. We just need the right moment." Jennifer took a deep breath. "The party. We'll destroy them at the party." "Yes. But first, we play along. Let them think they're safe." "Can you do that?" Jennifer straightened her shoulders. "I've been acting happy for months without knowing. Now I'll do it on purpose." James showed her more photos. Text messages. Hotel bills. All perfect evidence. All ready to display on the giant screens at the Ritz-Carlton. 3 weeks, Jennifer said, her voice stronger now. 3 weeks of watching them lie. Then we show everyone who they really are. James watched Jennifer's face change. The hurt wife was gone. In her place sat a woman ready for revenge. Just like him. His phone buzzed. Elizabeth was calling. He showed the screen to Jennifer. "Answer it," she said. "Let's give them the best performance of their lives." James pressed the green button, winking at Jennifer. The game was on. And this time, they would win. The next 2 weeks tested James's acting skills. Every morning, he kissed Elizabeth goodbye. Every night, he pretended not to notice her late meetings. He smiled through dinner parties, laughed at Mike's jokes, and planned the perfect anniversary party. The video tribute is coming along great, he told Elizabeth over breakfast. Everyone sent such wonderful messages. Elizabeth touched his hand. You're so thoughtful, honey. I can't wait to see it. James watched her text under the table, knowing it was Mike. His stomach turned, but his smile never dropped. At the office, Mike acted like the perfect friend. Let me help with the party plans, he offered. Elizabeth deserves the best. Thanks, buddy. James patted Mike's back. You're always there for us. But while they played their parts, James and Jennifer worked behind the scenes. Late at night, they met at a small diner outside the city. Look what I found, Jennifer said one evening, sliding a USB drive across the table. Mike's old phone backup. There are pictures going back months. They took a secret trip to New York when he said he was in Denver. James added the files to his growing collection. Elizabeth booked a spa day next week. While she's out, I'll get the last video clips from our home cameras. How many guests confirmed for the party? Jennifer asked. 200. James smiled. Including the board members from Mike's biggest clients. Elizabeth's parents are flying in from Florida. Mike's whole family, too. Jennifer's eyes sparkled with tears. My mother loved Elizabeth. Called her a second daughter. This will break her heart. Better a broken heart than more lies, James said softly. They did this, not us. They planned everything carefully. The video would start sweet. Wedding photos, family moments, happy times. Then, slowly, it would change. Messages would appear. Photos. Timeline of lies. Their perfect masks would crack in front of everyone they knew. James hired security for the party. Just in case, he told Jennifer. But they both knew the real damage wouldn't be physical. Social death was worse than any punch. 1 week before the party, Elizabeth asked James to invite more people. Let's make it bigger, she said. More special. He agreed, watching her text Mike about it later. They thought they were so clever, so secret. They didn't know James saw everything now. Jennifer called that night. Mike's excited about the party. Says it'll be unforgettable. James looked at his party plans, at the detailed timeline of the video reveal. He's right about that. It will be unforgettable. Just 7 more days of pretending. 7 days until the masks came off. 7 days until everyone knew the truth. The countdown had begun. 3 days before the party, Elizabeth started acting nervous. James caught her checking his computer when she thought he was sleeping. She asked more questions about the video tribute. Called Mike less. Watched James more. Is everything okay? James asked over dinner, enjoying her discomfort. You seem worried. No, Elizabeth played with her wedding ring. Just excited about the party. That night, James met Jennifer at their usual diner. Her face was pale. Mike's scared, she whispered. He deleted all his messages today. Told me he needs to work late this week to prepare something special for the party. James showed her his phone. Elizabeth's the same. They feel something's wrong but don't know what. Good, Jennifer's voice turned cold. Let them sweat. The next morning, James left a hotel receipt on his desk. Not hidden, not obvious. Just there. He watched through his office cameras as Elizabeth found it during her daily snoop. Her face changed when she saw the Lake Shore Hotel name. The same hotel she used with Mike. She called him immediately. James played the office security recording later for Jennifer. James knows something, Elizabeth's voice shook. There was a hotel receipt. Calm down, Mike answered. It's probably nothing. We've been careful. Jennifer laughed bitterly. Careful? They've been stupid. 2 days before the party, James asked Elizabeth about her affair in the most innocent way possible. Remember Mike's business trip to Denver last month? Elizabeth froze. What about it? Funny thing. Jennifer said he was in New York that week. Elizabeth's fork clattered on her plate. Oh, maybe she got the dates mixed up. James watched her text Mike frantically under the table. Watched her make up excuses to call him. watched them both start to crack. The next day, Mike tried damage control. "Hey buddy," he caught James at lunch. "About that Denver trip, there was a last-minute change to New York. Didn't want to confuse anyone." James nodded, understanding. "No problem. We'll clear everything up at the party." Mike's face went white. That night, Elizabeth didn't come home until midnight. Her eyes were red. James pretended to be asleep when she checked his phone, his laptop, his briefcase. Jennifer texted, "Mike's sleeping in the guest room. Says he's not feeling well." James smiled in the dark. Everything was falling apart for them, just as planned. The party was tomorrow. The video was ready. 200 guests would watch their perfect world burn. "One more day," he texted Jennifer. Her reply came instantly, "No going back now." James looked at Elizabeth's sleeping form beside him. Tomorrow would be her last peaceful sleep. Tomorrow, everyone would know the truth. The masks were about to come off. Finally, the Ritz-Carlton ballroom sparkled with light. 200 guests filled the room, dressed in their finest. Elizabeth glowed in her new red dress, accepting compliments, playing the perfect wife. Mike worked the room like the successful businessman he pretended to be. James watched them both, checking his watch. 2 hours until the video. Elizabeth's parents hugged him tight. "Such a wonderful surprise for our daughter," her mother said. "You're the best thing that ever happened to her." James smiled, seeing Elizabeth freeze across the room. She'd heard her mother's words. Jennifer arrived alone, stunning in black. "Mike's running late," she announced loudly. "Work call. He'll be here soon." Elizabeth's champagne glass shook slightly. James saw her slip away to her purse, probably to text Mike. Their time was running out, and they knew it. Mike arrived 30 minutes later, sweating slightly. He brought Jennifer flowers, played the loving husband. But his eyes kept darting to Elizabeth, to James, to the large screens around the room. "Speech time," someone called out. James took the microphone. The room quieted. 10 years ago, I married my best friend," he started. Elizabeth wiped a tear. "Fake, like everything else about her. Tonight, I want to share our journey. But first, I'd like to thank my closest friend, Mike." "Stand up, buddy." Mike stood, forcing a smile. "Mike's been by my side through everything. Business, friendship, life's ups and downs. He and Elizabeth have grown so close over the years. Like family." The room awed. Jennifer caught James's eye. "Time to begin. I've prepared a video. A tribute to trust, love, and loyalty." Elizabeth touched her throat nervously. Mike loosened his tie. "Before we start," James continued, "I want to thank the Lake Shore Hotel for their help with tonight's surprise." Elizabeth's glass crashed to the floor. Mike sat down hard. The lights dimmed. The screens lit up. Their wedding photos appeared first. Happy moments. Family gatherings. Then, the timestamp appeared. 3 months ago. Elizabeth entering the Lake Shore Hotel. Mike following 5 minutes later. Messages flashed across the screen. "Miss you, baby, Mike." "James is so stupid, Elizabeth." "Let's run away together, Mike." Hotel receipts. Timeline of lies. Photos from their secret New York trip. The room went dead silent. Elizabeth's mother screamed. Mike's father stood up, face red with rage. Business partners whispered and pointed. The final clip played. Elizabeth and Mike in James's living room, laughing about their foolish spouses. The lights came up. Elizabeth ran for the door. Security blocked her way. Mike tried to speak. Jennifer threw her wine in his face. "The divorce papers are filed," James announced into the microphone. "For both couples." The room erupted in chaos. James watched his world explode with a calm smile. The truth was finally out. And it felt good. The next week turned their world upside down. The video went viral in their social circle. Elizabeth's parents packed up and left without speaking to her. Mike's father, a respected judge, removed him from the family trust. Elizabeth tried damage control. She called, texted, even came to the house crying. "Please, James. We can fix this. I'll do anything." James watched her sob on his doorstep through the security camera. He didn't open the door. Mike lost everything. 3 major clients pulled their accounts the day after the party. The board called an emergency meeting. By Friday, he was out of the company he helped build. Jennifer texted James the updates. Mike's living in a cheap hotel. His car got repossessed today. He tried begging my forgiveness. I laughed in his face. The country club canceled both their memberships. Elizabeth's real estate license got suspended, something about misusing client funds for her hotel meetings. Their perfect social life crumbled like a house of cards. James watched it all from his office. He'd moved into the top floor of his building temporarily. The view of Chicago helped him think. Was it worth it? Jennifer asked over coffee one morning. James thought about Elizabeth's face when the video played. Mike's desperate attempts to save his reputation. The whispers. The judgments. The fall from grace. Every second, he said. Jennifer smiled. They thought they were so smart. Never saw it coming. That's the thing about cheaters. James sipped his coffee. They're so busy lying, they forget to watch their backs. Elizabeth's final text came 3 weeks after the party. I know I deserve this. But I loved you once. Remember that. James blocked her number. Mike tried visiting the office. Security threw him out. Their expensive divorce lawyers couldn't save them. The evidence was too strong. The prenups were clear. They lost everything. 1 month later, James sat in his office, looking at the city lights. His phone buzzed, Jennifer asking if he wanted to grab dinner. He smiled. Not romantically. They weren't ready for that. But they understood each other now. Survivors of the same storm. The wedding photo still sat on his desk. He picked it up one last time, then dropped it in the trash. Sometimes the best revenge isn't just exposing the truth. It's watching them live with the consequences. James grabbed his coat and texted Jennifer back, on my way. The past was finished. Time to start living again. 6 months passed. Life changed in ways James never expected. His company grew bigger after Mike left. Clients trusted him more now, the man who stood up for his values. 3 new office buildings carried the Anderson name in downtown Chicago. Elizabeth tried rebuilding her life in Seattle. Her Instagram showed a smaller apartment, a regular job. No more designer clothes or fancy parties. Reality hit her hard. Mike hit rock bottom faster. Jennifer heard he was bartending in some small town in Ohio. His father's connections couldn't save him. His reputation was destroyed. No one trusted a man who betrayed his best friend. James kept their story as a warning. New employees heard about it during orientation. Trust and loyalty matter here, he told them. They understood. One cold Chicago morning, James got an unexpected letter. Elizabeth's mother wrote to him. You were the son we always wanted. Elizabeth destroyed that. We haven't spoken to her since that night. Some mistakes can't be fixed. Thank you for showing us the truth. He kept the letter. Jennifer thrived after the divorce. She took half of Mike's assets and opened her own business. They had lunch sometimes, sharing updates on their new lives. Heard Elizabeth tried joining a real estate firm in Seattle, Jennifer said during one lunch. They Googled her name and refused. James nodded. The internet never forgot. Their videos still circulated in business circles as a cautionary tale. Some nights, alone in his office, James thought about his revenge. Was it too harsh? Too public? Then he remembered their laughter in his home. Their cruel jokes about his trust. Their plans to take more from him. No, they deserved everything they got. His phone buzzed. A text from Elizabeth's number. New, but he knew it was her. I dream about that night sometimes. The party. The video. Everyone's faces. You destroyed us. James typed back his first and last response. No, you destroyed yourselves. I just showed the truth. He blocked this number too. The city lights sparkled outside his window. Same view, different man. Stronger now. Wiser. Some said he was cold. Cruel. But he knew better. Sometimes the best revenge isn't just about getting even. It's about making sure they never forget what they lost. And who caused their fall. 1 year after the party. James stood at his office window, watching the sunset over Chicago. His secretary brought in the day's last piece of mail, a thick envelope from the divorce court. Final papers. The last legal tie between him and Elizabeth finally broken. His phone rang. "Jennifer." "Got mine too," she said. "It's really over." James smiled. "Want to celebrate?" They met at their usual diner. Not the fancy restaurants they used to visit with their ex-spouses. This place was real. Like their friendship. "Remember when we planned it all right here?" Jennifer pointed to their usual booth. James nodded. "Feels like another lifetime." "Mike called yesterday," Jennifer said, stirring her coffee. "First time in months. Wanted to apologize again. Says he's sober now. Working as a junior sales clerk somewhere." "Elizabeth sent a letter to my office," James replied. "She's engaged. Some local guy in Seattle. Poor man doesn't know what's coming." They shared a knowing look. The diner's TV played local news. A familiar face appeared. James, receiving Chicago's Businessman of the Year award. The reporter praised his ethics, his values, his success. "Funny," Jennifer smiled. "They betrayed us, but we're the ones who ended up stronger." James thought about the past year. The pain turned to power. The betrayal became strength. Sometimes life's worst moments led to the best changes. "I have a confession," Jennifer said quietly. "I sent the video to his new employer in Ohio." James raised an eyebrow. He was trying to get a management position. Lying about his past. Jennifer shrugged. "Some people never learn." "You did the right thing," James said. "Some truths need to stay in the light." They finished their coffee, comfortable in the silence of true friendship. No romance, no complications. Just understanding. Outside, Chicago's lights came on. James looked at his watch. Gold, expensive, a gift to himself after the divorce. "Same time next week?" Jennifer asked. "Always." They parted ways, two survivors who turned victim into victory. Back in his office, James opened his desk drawer. The old wedding photo was still there, buried under papers. He hadn't looked at it in months. Elizabeth's smile didn't hurt anymore. Mike's betrayal felt distant, like a bad dream. He dropped the photo in the shredder. The machine whirred, destroying the last piece of his old life. On his computer, a new email popped up. Another major client wanting to work with him. Trust, they said, was why they chose his company. James smiled. Sometimes the best revenge isn't the public humiliation, the social death, or even the financial ruin. It's living well, standing tall, and letting them watch from the shadows of their own creation. He turned off his office lights and headed home. The story of their betrayal would always follow them. But his story? His was just beginning. The end.